Sometimes an image that we choose to work on turns out to be more complicated than we thought. And right now my camera is a little more complicated than I thought. I'm going to move my operation back here a little bit to get it out of the shadow, and that didn't work, so we'll just live with the shadow. Sometimes we find out that we need a little more experience in what we want to draw, and so we go back to the drawing board, so to speak, and work on a particular skill. I thought this image would be great for working on ellipses, because sometimes just working on a specific skill can be boring. So I thought this would be a fun way to learn to see and render ellipses. However, in trying to draw it, I realized it is quite complicated, even though it is fun. So I had already decided that we could work on ellipses with cups. We did this last year. They're a little more simplified. And so, for instance, if I was going to use this cup as a tutorial, so to speak, to draw an ellipse, I would, if I was using the art sticks, I would get started this way. It does taper down a little bit, so I kind of get the basic shape there, get some tone in there. And then I'd go in with a regular pencil and, holding it, decide how much of the top I want to see. Now, if you look straight on, it's a circle, which would be like that. As you tip it, the space between here and the back gets smaller. And I've discovered my most frequent mistake, and I've observed other people having the same issue, is putting too much distance between here and here. So, for instance, if I tip it like this, and I want to match that ellipse, start out, and I'm already a little bit too deep, I think. So I usually try to make a mistake, on the side of being too little space, and that usually turns out to be just about right. If I were doing it just with the pencil and not using the art stick, this might be the way I would start. And then when I get down to the bottom, I need to look at this arc. We're not seeing the other side of the ellipse here, we're just seeing an arc. To figure out how to match that shape to the top so that it's a believable drinking vessel and would sit on the table. If I were continuing with the art stick method, I would go up here and see if I could match the arc here. I might even define, I don't want to go any deeper than that. So if I get those two in position, then I can do, and the corners are usually they're not points, but they're not real rounded either. So that's another shape to watch. And then down here I would need to figure out, as I'm looking at it, what that looks like. So these could be kind of fun, and they could be stacked up, laid on their side, different things, and try to match those shapes. Many things that we draw, we ran into this with the bottles last time. There are many ellipses on here, and because these are glass, you see through to the other side. If you were doing a still life of most vases, you run into ellipses. So it's a good skill to have, and as we say, practice makes perfect. So this was the way I improved my ellipse drawing skills. This was a painting I did of a chef's wedding cake, and I didn't realize till I got into it and the cake looked like it was falling over that I had so many ellipses here, and it was going to be very critical that I got them accurate or nothing was going to fit together. So I had the ellipse at the top of the cake, then I had an ellipse for each layer. I had two ellipses, one for the top, one for the bottom. Had ellipses on the wine glass here, the wine base, even the candle, and even the flower vase. So having had to do this, do these ellipses so many times, I can honestly say that practice may not make perfect, but it certainly helped me learn a great deal about doing ellipses. Another fun way to practice is to have a plastic vessel such as this. I don't even know what came in this, but I took a Sharpie. I actually did this to learn how to draw arms and legs, to get the sense, even though you don't see see through arms and legs, to practice getting a sense of the roundness or the cylindrical aspect of arms and legs. But this in itself is interesting to draw and kind of mirrors what's going on here, which is also a transparent image, the way that sculpture is done. So coming back to this, if we decided that this would be fun to draw, we have a couple of options. We could forget the what we're seeing through to the back and just do the longitude, so to speak, on the surface. And those are ellipses as well. And then placing those, put the land masses on top of it. So that would be a simplified way to go.